welcome to all of our SVM students. Today we are going to deal about the motion of the system of particle and rigid body rotation. The system of particle means collection of or group of particles that are interact with each other. Example, we have many number of particles. Okay, particle 1, particle 2, particle 3, particle 4, particle 5, like that we have larger number of particles that are interacted. Example, that are mass particles, that we have a interacting gravitational force, not only between these two, between the other masses, between this, between all the particles, interacting force is there. That's why that all combine to form a rigid body. That will form as a rigid body. That rigid body is going to make a motion, means not only a single particle, we have a many number of particles. These particles want to make a motion. That system can make to move two kinds of motion. One is a translation motion. Two types of motion. One is translation motion or linear motion. Second one is rotational motion. But here we are going to deal about that rotational motion. If any object makes to moves, it may be in a linear motion or in a rotational motion. Example, if you take on a wheel, that wheel is attached to our vehicles. If the vehicle is moves from one place to another place, the vehicle makes a rotational motion. Vehicle makes a rotational motion. That rotational motion want to study means there we have a one important concept that is called as a center of mass. Center of mass. For any object we have a certain point, their total mass may be appear to be concentrated. That point is called as a center of mass. That position of the center of mass is a most important concept to study that rigid body rotational motion. Rigid body rotational motion. That's why that rigid body may called as a system of particles. For studying the position of the center of mass, the system of particles are classified into three groups. So one is two particle system. More than one particle if we have means, then we can say that is a system of particles. That's why first one is two particle system. It may contains a larger number of particles. That's why second one is large numbers. Third one is as like that sphere, disc, cylinder, there the masses are distributed continuously. That's why system of particles with a continuous distribution. Continuous distribution. For studying that center of mass, shortly named as CM. We will group the system of particle into three. First one is a two particle system. Second one is a system of particles with larger numbers. Then system of particles with a continuous distribution is for only two particles. It may be a larger number of particles. This is used for studying that center of mass of uniform shape or non-uniform shape, but it is a mass distributed continuously. That's why first we will see about that two particle system to study about the question of its center of mass. Question of center of mass for a two particle system. Suppose we are taken the two particles that are having a mass m1 and m2 mass for the two particle masses. Their positions are named as R1 vector and R2 vector is a position vectors. So the two masses m1 and m2 are placed R1 vector distance and R2 vector distance with respectively from the origin. Suppose the two particles are placed along the x-axis. We will take the diagram for that. The x-axis, y-axis. Suppose first particle is placed in this position, their mass is m1, then second particle, their mass is m2. So these two are placed along the x-axis, that's why their distance are going to mention in x values only. That is first particle distance is x1 distance, second particle distance is taken as a x2. Anyhow, if we arrange these two particles which are having a mass m1 and m2, their position of this mass, center of mass is going to appear between these two particles only. Let me assume this point is going to act as a center of mass. There we are representing a x suffix m. That is, the two particles are placed in that x-axis. That's why that center of mass of these two particles in the x-axis position is taken as xm. That is the distance from that origin. This point we are going to calculate. We have a formula, that is xm equal to mass of the first particle into product of that distance, m1 x1 plus mass of the second particle into their distance divided by m1 plus m2. If the two particles are placed along the x-axis, the two particle system of particles center of mass can be calculated based on the formula xm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Okay. Then suppose these two particles are placed anywhere in that xy plane. There we have x component and y component. Otherwise, these two particles are placed in a three-dimensional manner. Each and every particle's position vector has three components: x component, y component, z component. But anyhow, here we are placed that two masses in only along the x-axis. That's why we are taken x suffix cm equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. If the origin reference point is taken, this point we will taken this formula. Suppose our origin is going to superimposed at the point of the first mass. their x1 value becomes a 0. If x1 or m1, if origin is going to coincide with that m1, x1 becomes a 0, then the center of mass can be taken as x1 value becomes a 0. x1 value becomes a 0 means we will taken m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Origin is going to coincide with the m1 means their x1 value becomes a 0. The center of mass is taken in m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. If origin is going to coincide with that m2, then we can take an x2 value becomes a 0. x2 value becomes a 0. If x2 value is a 0, then we will get the formula. If m2 x2 is equal to 0, center of mass xm can be taken as m1 x1 divided by m1 plus m2. If origin going to coincide with that m2, we have this formula. Suppose the taken origin is coincide with that center of mass, then xm, then xm equal to 0. From this formula, xm is equal to 0 means 0 is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Then if it is a 0 means from this formula m1 x1 equal to minus m2 x2. This is called as a principle of moment. Is the most important formula to finding that the center of mass of that two particle system. Here that minus sign is going to mention if x1 is in that positive x direction, x2 is in that negative x direction. If the origin is coincident, example, the diagram is going to taken like this. m1 their distance x1, then mass m2 their distance x2, but it is a x prime is a I cap minus I cap. So this distance is taken in a positive value means x2 is taken in a negative value. That's why if the center of mass is coincide here, then we have the formula m1 x1 is equal to minus m2 x2. The minus sign is the two are opposite direction. Okay, these three concept is most important. If center of mass is coincide with that m1, then we can take an m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. If the origin is coincide with that m2, their center of mass is taken as a m1 x1 divided by m1 plus m2. If the origin is coincide with that center of mass itself, then we can take an m1 x1 equal to minus m2 x2. Mostly we are using this concept. Sometimes one of the body is going to coincide with that origin. Then we will take the comparison between these two formulas. Center of mass is taken as m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Here m1 x1 divided by m1 plus m2. Here m1 is at origin. Here m2 is at the origin. Now we are going to see about the example for the center of mass for the two particle system. Suppose two masses. m1 equal to 1 kilogram, m2 equal to 2 kilogram. These two masses are going to placed along the x-axis. Their positions are taken. x1 is equal to 1 meter from the origin, and the m2 position is from the origin, that is a 3 meter. What is the center of mass position? Where the center of mass going to acting? Center of mass is going to act at a point xcm value want to find. Xcm value want to going to find. So that's why we are going to arrange these two particles. First mass 1 kilogram, second mass 2 kilogram. From the origin it is 1 meter distance. Second mass is placed 3 meter distance. For that, if you take a diagram, is the origin 0, 0, is a 1 meter position, is a 2 meter, then this is the 3 meter position. At this position, we have placed that first mass m1, that's value is 1 kilogram. Second mass value is m2 equal to 2 kilogram. That is placed at a distance of 3 meters in that x-axis. Now, what is the formula for finding that the center of mass? xcm equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. So, our m1 value is 1 kilogram, x1 value is 1 meter plus m2 value is 2 kilogram into their distance is 3 meter divided by m1 plus m2. m1 is 1 kilogram, m2 is 2 kilogram. 1 plus 2. Then this value becomes 1 into 1, 1 plus 6 divided by 3. Then we have that 7 by 3 meter from the origin. From the origin, it will act, that is a xcm, center of mass along the x-axis, acting at the distance. It will taken almost equal to, that is 2 point something 33 meter. So that's why that point may be taken here. Now you compare that center of mass is closer to which one? Means which one has a greater mass? Which one has a greater mass? To the closer the center of mass is acting. That's why their positions, suppose it is taken as R2, it is taken as a R1. Which one is a greater value? R1 is a greater value as compared to that R2. But mass of the second body is greater as compared to that first body. So that's why the center of mass is always closer to that greater mass particles. Greater mass particles. We are going to deal about the position of center of mass of large number of particles. Position of center of mass for the large number of particles. That large number of particles are going to placed in the three-dimensional manner. For that, we will take a diagram. This is the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Suppose that system has n number of particles which are certain distance from that origin. First particle can be taken as here m1 mass. Second particle is going to taken, that is m2 mass. Third particle is going to taken m3 mass. Like that, we are going to taken n number of particles. That's why mth particle having a mass nm. Their position vectors are going to trace out. Is a r1 vector. It is going to taken R2 vector, third particle position vector, R3 vector. That mth particles, the position vector is going to taken, that is Rn vector. But these all combined to form a system. There we have a certain point, it acts as a center of mass. That point we are going to calculate. Further, suppose that center of mass is going to at this point. Okay, their position vector can be taken as RCM vector. The total mass appear to be concentrated at a point that may be called as a center of mass. So finding this, we will take on the formula. The position vector for that center of mass RCM vector equal to M1 R1 vector is the mass of the first particle into position vector plus M2 into R2 vector, mass of the second particle into its position vector, plus goes on up to that. There we have a n number of particles, that's why that can be taken as Mn Rn vector divided by M1 plus M2 goes on up to that Mn. Then this M1 plus M2 plus up to that Mn is that total mass of that system. Total mass of the system. We consider certain greater mass, that is taken xcm vector is equal to M1 into R1 vector plus M2 R2 vector plus goes on up to that Mn into Rn vector divided by total mass can be taken in capital M. Then this numerator also taken as summations of that factors. That's why RCM vector can be taken as summation of I is equal to 1 to n mi Ri vector divided by m. We can shortly take on that center of mass of that larger number of particles is summation, that is from 1 to n. There we have product of mass into position vector, product of mass into position vector, then divided by that total mass. Okay, if these particles are arranged in a three-dimensional manner, we have a center of mass for that x component, y component, z component. For the center of mass, we have a x component, y component, z component. That can be written as, if you write in that form like that, we will take an RCM vector is equal to x component value, that is x suffix cm I cap, that is the x direction is taken in a I cap plus y cm into j cap plus z cm into k cap, like that we can write. If you write that the form of three-dimensional manner, that is center of mass vector equal to x component into I cap plus y component into j cap plus z component into k cap. This also we can calculate it, that is x component. How we can calculate that x component means xcm equal to product of first mass into x1, second mass m2 into x2 up to that mn xn divided by m1 plus m2 goes on up to that mn. This also can be write in short form. xcm is equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to n, that is mi xi divided by, this summation is taken summation of I is equal to 1 to n mi, and this can be taken as summation of mi xi divided by capital M. For x component this means, similarly we can calculate that y component also. Similarly we can calculate that z component also. That's why y suffix cm, center of mass of that y component, can be taken as summation of I is equal to 1 to n MI by capital M. Similarly, ZCM equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to N MIZI divided by capital M. If you calculate these three factors, XCM, YCM and ZCM, this is going to substitute in our primary formula. RCM is equal to XCM into I cap plus YCM into J cap plus ZCM into K cap. In the form of that vector, we will taken that position vector. Okay. For this is a large number of particles, we can express like that. There we can take one example also. Larger number of particles means 3 particles we can take. M1 is 1 kilogram, M2 is 3 kilogram, M3 is 5 kilogram. Example we are going to take. They are position vectors. First one position vector, that is R1 vector can be taken as R1 vector is equal to I cap plus J cap plus K cap. Similarly, R2 vector equal to I cap plus 2J cap plus 5K cap. And for the third particle, we can take an R3 vector equal to 2 I cap plus J cap plus K cap. Like that, each one position vector is taken. First mass, their position vector is this. Second mass, their position vector is this. Third mass, their position vector. Now we want to find center of mass. Of the system. So we have the formula R suffix M vector equal to M1 into R1 vector plus M2 into R2 vector plus M3 into R3 vector divided by M1 plus M2 plus M3. Now we are going to substitute the corresponding values, that is RCM vector equal to M1 value is 1 and 2. Is the R1 vector is I cap plus J cap plus K cap plus M2 value is 3 into I cap plus 2J cap plus 5K cap plus third mass is 5 into their position vectors are 2 I cap plus J cap plus K cap divided by the sum of their masses. First mass is 1 kilogram, second mass is 3 kilogram, third mass is 5 kilogram. Totally we have that 1 plus 3 plus 5. Totally we have 9. Then RCM vector equal to 1 by 9. Now we will take an I cap plus J cap plus K cap because it is product by 1. Next, that second factor is going to product with 3. That's why 3 I cap plus 6 J cap plus 15 K cap plus third factor is going to multiply with that 5. Then we can take 10 I cap plus 5 J cap plus 5 K cap. Okay. Now we will totally all that I caps are combined. RCM vector is equal to 1 by 9. Now it is I cap plus 3 I cap, 4 I cap plus 10 I cap, 14 I cap plus J cap values 1 J cap plus 6 J cap, that is 7 J cap plus 5, 12 J cap plus there K cap, 1 K cap, that is 15 plus 1 16, 16 plus 5 21 K cap. If it is possible to simplify, we can simplify. Otherwise, we will leave it. We will get that center of mass of that 3 particle system. 3 particle system. That is RCM vector is equal to 1 by 9. That is 9 is nothing but a sum of that their 3 masses into their x component plus y component plus z component we have. That's why. Okay. Question of the center of mass of larger number of particles. There, to finding that x component xcm is equal to summation of mi xi, that is from 1 to n divided by total mass. Then y component is ycm is equal to summation of mi yi divided by total mass. Similarly, for that z component zcm is equal to summation of mi zi divided by total mass. For larger mass distribution, there we use that function summation function. There we are going to see about that larger masses are continuously going to distribute. If the larger masses are continuously going to distribute, we can form either uniform shape of the object or non-uniform shape of the object. For example, for that uniform shape, cylindrical mass object we can form, linear rod we can form, disc, circular disc we can form. There the masses are continuously distributed. For larger mass particles, we use that summation function, but here bit by bit, close to close, one particle to another particle that are arranged. Their position vectors are very closer. That's why here integration function we are using. For center of mass of one particle, there it may has x component, y component and z component. Their components are written in the form of integration. So that's why for continuous mass distribution, x component of the center of mass of one particle can be taken as Cm is equal to integral x into dm divided by integral dm. That is integration form. If it is a finite integral, we will substitute that limitation. Okay. Ycm can be taken as integral y into dm divided by integral dm. That is a integral dm we are taking, that is the total mass of that system. Then we can take zcm equal to integral z into dm divided by integral dm. Here that integral dm, that is a part of that mass, that is going to take on the total mass. This is nothing but a total mass. Total mass of the system can be taken in capital M. That's why xm is equal to integral x into dm divided by total mass of the object. That is the x component. Next y component, integral y into dm divided by total mass. Then the z component, integral z into dm divided by total mass. This formula is going to apply to find the center of mass of one of the mass particle. Example, we are going to take a linear rod. That linear rod is going to placed along that x-axis. One end of that rod is going to that coincide with that origin. We will take on the diagram for that. Is the x-axis, is the y-axis. The rod, lengthy rod, going to place along that x-axis. Their total mass is taken in capital M. Total length is taken in capital L. If one end is coincident with that origin, that is taken as x value, distance value is 0. Other end x distance, that is here x value is L. We don't know that where the center of mass is going to act. For that, we will find that the center of mass, the total mass of the part is going to split into many parts. Suppose small part is taken, their distance is very small, dx distance. their positions may be taken as a PQ. In a total length, the PQ length is taken as a dx that may be at a certain distance. We consider that is an x distance. First we will find that mass of these particles. So how we will find the mass of the particle dx particle means here this is a linear rod. First of all we will find that mass per unit length. Mass per unit length means that is called as a linear mass density. That can be taken as lambda. Lambda is equal to m by L. First of all, we will find that mass per unit length, that may be called as a linear mass density. That is lambda is equal to mass per unit length m by L. Based on this, we will find the mass of this part. The mass of this part can be considered as a dm. Equal to lambda into dx. What is that lambda? M by L. Then we can take m by L into dx. That mass of that dx length is taken dm. That is dm is equal to m by L into dx. This value is going to substitute in that first formula. Here that rod is going to place along that x-axis. That's why that value is going to substitute in that x value, and we have a limitation also. That is initial position, beginning end of the rod is x is equal to 0. End is x is equal to L. That's why the limitation is taken as 0 to L. That's why xm is equal to integral 0 to L. There we have a formula x into dm. That dm mass value can be taken as linear mass density into dx. Divided by integral dm can be taken as a total mass. Then we can take xm is equal to, there m and m we can cancel. Then 1 by L integral 0 to L x into dx. Then we can get xm is equal to 1 by L of x squared by 2. The limitation is 0 to L. If you substitute that limitation, xm is equal to 1 by L of L squared by 2. From that we can take xm, center of mass of the x component can be taken as L by 2. If you cancel this, you will get that is a center of mass for that x component is L by 2. Then we have a y component formula, but that rod is linear rod is placed along the x axis alone. Then y component is 0 and z component also 0. Then the position vector where it is acted, that is the center of mass position vector is acting at the midpoint. This point may be represented as L by 2, 0, 0 is the example for position of the center of mass for that continuous mass distribution. Here y component is 0, z component also 0. That's why we are going to tackle at this point x component only L by 2, 0, 0. Next we are going to study about the motion of the center of mass. Which one has a center of mass means system of particle has a center of mass. We have a 3 type of system of masses. One is a 2 particle system, another one is a large number of particle system, third one is a continuous mass distributed system. In that we are going to tackle that large number of particles distribution system. Their center of mass position vector we are going to tackle. If it is a large number of particles we have, then we are mentioning their masses can be taken as m1 mass, m2 mass, m3 mass, up to that m1 mass. Their corresponding position vectors, that is r1 vector, r2 vector, r3 vector, up to that rn vector. Based on that center of mass vector we can represent RCM vector equal to m1 r1 vector plus m2 r2 vector plus up to that plus mn rn vector divided by m1 plus m2 plus m3 goes on up to that mn. This is a total mass of that system. That's why we can represent center of mass of that system, or that system's position vector center of mass, that is summation of I is equal to 1 to n mi ri vector divided by total mass. The product of mass and mass into r may called as a moment of mass. Moment of mass we can take it. Anyhow, when for a large number of particles, position of the center of mass can be taken as like this. Okay. If you taken this formula, RCM vector equal to m1 r1 vector plus m2 r2 vector plus up to that mn rn vector divided by the total masses. If you taken that formula, capital M, that is the total mass is going to taken here, m into RCM vector equal to m1 into r1 vector plus m2 into r2 vector up to that mn rn vector. The total system is going to moving. Time to time, their positions are changes. If time to time position is changes, the particle system particle is moving. There we have a velocity for that system. But in a system, each and every particle has its velocity. From the position vector, how we can find that a velocity vector means? We differentiate that position vector with respect to a time. We will get that velocity vector. That total, this formula is going to differentiate with respect to that time. Then we will get d by dt of equal to d by dt of total formula. Then mass is constant for the given system is taken out. Then we will get that is from this formula m into velocity of the center of mass equal to, for each and every one we will get m1 v1 vector plus m2 v2 vector plus up to that mn vn vector. We know that product of mass into velocity called as a momentum. So that's why this may be taken as momentum of the center of mass. That the momentum of the center of mass can be taken as p suffix cm vector is equal to p1 vector plus p2 vector up to that pn vector. Sum of that all particles momentum is equal to that momentum of that center of mass. From this formula, vector sum of the all the particles of momentum equal to momentum of that center of mass. If the system is moving without the external force, the system's momentum is remains constant, because the system is going in one particular direction with a particular velocity. Each and every particle may having a certain velocities, but the system is moving with the VCM vector. Then without external force, the velocities are remains constant, then momentum is remains constant, that obeys that Newton's second law. What they are saying in Newton's second law, if we have a external force, then only acceleration. Without external force, acceleration is zero. That is, velocity remains constant. Velocity remains constant is momentum of the system is remains constant. That is called as a law of conservation of linear momentum. That is called as a law of conservation of linear momentum. Without external force, momentum is conserved. Momentum is conserved. So the system may be moves with a constant momentum. The center of mass having a momentum vector is. If any external agent act on that object, then only their velocity changes. Then velocity changes with the time means that may be called as a acceleration. This formula is going to differentiate with respect to that time. You will get that m into a suffix cm, acceleration of that center of mass, equal to m1 a1 vector plus m2 a2 vector up to the nth particle, that is mn into an vector, is the relation of product of mass into acceleration of the center of mass, that may be equal to net force act on that system. We will taken that two kinds of force, is the internal force and external force. If any system, net internal force becomes a zero, because the internal forces are act between the particles of the system. One act on that other. One is act as a action, means another one act as a reaction. That's why internal forces are here neglected. Only by the external force the system may be accelerated. Only by the external force system may be accelerated. That's why this formula going to taken like that, m into acceleration, center of the mass acceleration equal to summation of that all forces, that is external force plus internal force, but that in general internal force is zero. That's why mass into acceleration of that center of mass is equal to external force, total external force. So that's why acceleration of that center of mass is equal to total external force divided by total mass of that system. If external force value is 0, the system will not accelerate. It may be at rest or moves with a constant velocity. So that's why here the system obeys the Newton's second law. And the energy conservation also it obeys velocity for that two system of particle and its acceleration. Suppose we are going to take two particles, their masses m1 and m2 that are in motion. That two moves with the different directions. Suppose that moving in a theta angle. Example, from this point, m1 is moving with v1 velocity. m2 is moving in that v2 velocity. Their velocities are making angle theta. Now, if we want to find the velocity of that center of mass for these two particles, we have the formula, that is VCM vector modulus equal to square root of m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square plus 2 m1 m2 into v1 v2 into cos theta divided by m1 plus m2. If the two particles that are having a mass m1 and m2 moving in different directions, the two makes an angle theta, then magnitude of that velocity of the center of mass can be taken as modulus of VCM vector is equal to square root of m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square plus 2 m1 m2 v1 v2 cos theta divided by m1 plus m2. Suppose the two are moving in the same direction. What may be taken an angle means then for same direction. Motion theta is equal to 0. If theta 0 means VCM is equal to, here we are going to calculate that magnitude. Then if you substitute theta is equal to 0, cos 0 is equal to 1. Cos 0 is equal to 1 means then we will get that formula, that is square root of m1 v1 plus m2 v2 whole square divided by m1 plus m2. Square root and square is cancelled. We will get that is m1 v1 plus m2 v2 divided by m1 plus m2. If the two particles are moving in the same direction with their velocities v1 and v2. If the two particles are moving in opposite direction, theta is equal to 180. If theta is equal to 180, cos 180 equal to minus 1, then VCM vector, modulus of the VCM vector, that is a magnitude that can be taken as m1 v1 minus m2 v2 divided by m1 plus m2. The two particles move in opposite direction. Then the two particles are moving in the right angle directions, perpendicular direction. Then theta is equal to 90 degree. Cos 90 becomes 0. Then we will get that the velocity, magnitude of velocity of that center of mass equal to square root of m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square divided by m1 plus m2. So center of mass of the two particles, their velocities, the two particles, it may be moves in the same direction, opposite direction, or moves in the right angle. Their velocity vectors are taken. Similarly, acceleration also. If two particles are moving in a certain directions, that makes an angle theta, then their accelerations can be taken in a similar manner. Center of mass of that acceleration, their magnitude is equal to square root of m1 a1 square plus m2 a2 square plus 2 m1 m2 a1 a2 cos theta divided by m1 plus m2. Similarly, theta is 0, cos 0 becomes a 1. Then we have ACM equal to m1 a1 plus m2 a2 divided by m1 plus m2. If theta is equal to 180, ACM is equal to m1 a1 minus m2 a2 divided by m1 plus m2. Then theta is equal to 90. 90. Then acceleration of the center of mass can be taken as square root of m1 a1 whole square plus m2 a2 whole square divided by m1 plus m2. Already we saw that mass into velocity can be taken as momentum, and we know that mass into acceleration can be taken as force. Here, if any particle makes acceleration, that is depends upon the external force only, not by the internal force. Net internal force becomes a zero only. For a two particle system, their velocity and acceleration formulas are there.